Greetings everyone and a happy new year to all of you. Not so long ago, I was contacted by studio KOG Games to try out their online MMORPG Elsword Season 2, and I ended up greatly enjoying the experience. Well, KOG recently notified me that their IP has received some additional content in the form of the character Laby and her exclusive storyline, and I figured now would be as good of a time as any to go back to the game and share my thoughts on how it holds up and what Laby brings to the table. Now this video is sponsored by KOG Games, but my opinions are completely my own, and if you are interested you can follow the link in the description to try out for yourself, including the expansion that comes free upon installation. For those who don't remember or are viewing this for the first time, Elsword is a 2.5D action MMORPG, even now it's still a mouthful. This is a free-to-play game that simultaneously contains player versus environment and player versus player real-time action, built around the foundations of a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up in tandem with traditional MMORPG elements. When the second season launched, it premiered with 12 characters, however a 13th tenant has entered the fray in the form of Laby, who I can't deny is just the sweetest little thing, not helped by my love for all things cute. She's so innocent, pure and extremely expressive while harboring a strong design that I find both adorable and bright, but also unique with a dark edge that slowly becomes more confident and mature as her class line changes, demonstrating the theme of maturity visually, which is a very nice touch, so she's off to a strong start. Little Laby's questline is completely independent of the main story, therefore it does not require prior knowledge to enjoy or understand, while simultaneously offering something new for veterans, as Laby's tale I felt to be a bit darker than the standard synopsis, with a more personal focus as she contains her own lore independent of the rest of the franchise, demonstrating a greater emphasis on her internal conflict instead of the grand adventure, which though a little typical at times and slow starting out, does harbour some very strong moments and themes on occasion. Laby herself I observed to be far more interactive with the NPCs compared to the rest of the gang, which I greatly admired, as it made Laby's chronicles supplementary, relatable and engaging from my perspective. Laby is also a very lucky lady as she receives her own hub area which looks wonderful with a beautiful mix of bright colours and dark lighting, with some very ostentatious and surreal scenery to further the element of charm copious of her journey. Speaking of which, the objective of the game remains the same, where missions must be completed by travelling through dungeons, defeating enemies and collecting treasure, which can be achieved independently or with a party of other players, along with facing bosses at the end of each expedition, some of which can be very large in scale and intuitive to take down, even if things can get a bit cluttered at times. I'm sorry, who's doing what again? Laby I noticed to function far more ferociously than the other heroes, as not only does she have equally strong close and long range attacks with some very flashy and powerful skills, but she level ups faster than normal, making the experience fiercely frantic and fun, along with the ability to explore and experiment with her various job classes frequently. This I interpret acts as a great starting place for newcomers, as I feel they're less likely to get bored thanks to the constant sense of progression and continuous action. However, the enemies and bosses I contemplate help to balance things out, aggregating remarkably aggressive attack patterns and massing in greater numbers, so I recommend exercising caution and not getting too power hungry. Ugh, I'm gonna feel that in the morning. Speaking of enemies, Laby faces off against her own exclusive brand of baddies and battlegrounds, many of which are based on Asian mythology, specifically wuxia fantasy literature, which gives birth to many colourful combatants and gorgeous looking locations that are just so charming and complements the overall aesthetics of the game excellently. At the end of the day, Laby's addition to the world of Elsword I feel to be a bold success, and it really feels like its own thing rather than just a copy-paste of the core game with a new coat of paint. It is true, you know, the best things in life are for free. Woohoo! That being said, I was curious to see how well Elsword held up today, and thankfully everything I loved about my first experience has remained intact, with some new bells and whistles added. The inclusion of a third job path is definitely my favourite aspect about Elsword, as it makes all the investment feel very rewarding, especially on repeated playthroughs, while concurrently demonstrating a sort of morality system where, depending on the path chosen, will affect characters in a way in which they end up drastically different individuals once their journey is complete. So once again, points for visual storytelling, with the first job path representing light, second being neutral, and third being the dark path, and naturally they're the ones that get all the cool stuff. The character designs are fantastic, and I love just how unique each job class looks and feels. Plus the game now includes new icons for each entity, and some of the ensemble host their own 2D or 3D animated trailers, so prop to the increase in production values, and I'm glad the transition from a pay-to-win to a play-to-win model has been for the best. Now that I'm more comfortable with MMORPGs, I was worried that Elsword would feel a bit stale and simplistic upon revisits. However, I have never been so happy to be wrong, as even with the very streamlined and simple gameplay, I still had tons of fun hacking away at enemies, abusing the various skills and special abilities, understanding and exploiting enemy attack patterns, etc. I also feel the need to express my admiration for the revamped skill system, as after playing the second season of this game, I dread to think what it was like back in season 1 where you had to accumulate skill points in order to obtain skills, whereas now they are unlocked as soon as you reach the corresponding level, and all of them are assigned to the hotkeys. It also helps that since the game is very generous with the abilities each fighter can obtain, I was able to freely mess around with and try out each skill along with the personal skills assigned to their respective representatives, in tandem with the various different attributes that can be applied, some of which are downright nuts. My god, Laby, remind me to never get on your bad side. On top of all that, the online homepage has been given a very impressive overhaul in terms of presentation and content, as each character and their respective job is accompanied by a brief description and demonstration that showcases who they are and what they can do. Plus, the game frequently hosts events where players can earn some very nice rewards. I'd also argue that the site is a wonderful way for new players to learn about the game, since though I strongly believe that Elsword is very easy to pick up and play, there's a plethora of information and screenshots to help teach newcomers about all the aspects of the game. And it's not a stretch to say that the breakdowns are very extensive. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a section labelled the kitchen sink. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Elsword. More so Laby's addition to the game, and I am very happy that the entire package continues to impress me. This new adventure I felt to be a great extension of an already wonderful game, and can act as a very fun power trip for newcomers, as well as breathing new life into what's already been established for veterans. And even when looking past all that, Elsword is still a great time that I feel just about anyone can enjoy. Granted, it's very easy for parts of Laby's dungeons to become cluttered and crazy, and after playing as the little lolly, the core game may feel a bit slow, which I imagine may come off as a little jarring. But all things considered, I was satisfied with this trip down memory lane, so to speak. Once again, I want to thank KOG Games for notifying me about the Laby expansion, as I had a great time and it's very kind of you to put this much effort into such an extensive gift that's for free. And if any of you are interested, you can follow the link in the description to try out Elsword for yourself, Laby included. Or if you just happen to currently own the game, then I firmly believe now is as good of a time as any to start the servers back up again and give the newest member of the family a try. Anyway, that's it from me. I'll see you all next time.